Bleach, I will find you.
What's going on, guys? Welcome. Saturday live stream, talking about stuff. Probably stuff we don't even know what we're talking about. Most likely, that's usually how it goes. Let's do a quick roll call here. I see Scafer in the Twitchster. What is happening? Scafer, what's going down there? Coming into the Tubester here, we do have Ogre, MGTOW, what's happening? Michael Flores, the Pirate, Will Alblapanap.
Nuclear power, Red Putz is in the house.
The Pirate, Dan Balmer, scrolling through. Patrick Guyan, what is happening? Squirrel Master, Grey Wolf, Ontario Miner, Bleach. Hi, Bleach. How you doing? No, I wasn't in the bathroom. I was actually just looking at charts and stuff, and I was like, oh, crap, I got to start my stream. Travelers Travels, what's happening? Patrick Guyan here. Ogre MGTOW again. Scrolling. What do we got? DJ Mines is in the house. Ace K, Tech Bandit, Black Sales, Bits Please YT, YouTube, what's happening? Cook 4015, Squirrel Master, Northern Crypto and Tech. What do we got? Looks like people talking. We do have Budweiser. Yeah, nailed it. All track, what is going down? Scrolling, and it jumped on me. First time 13 board, ICT man. And just looking around is here. We got Maskless Ninja. Oh, we got the Maskless Ninja in the house. So what's going on? How you guys doing? What are you guys up to? Take a look at things. So tariffs and all the craziness going on. The global markets are crashing to zero. Done. Goodbye. See you later. Not happening. World has crumbled. We're all going to recession. Everything's going to suck and everyone's going to be broke. Or is that the case? All the money might leave and go into crypto. If we all, if we're lucky, because it seems crypto's been doing, kind of a lot more stable than the global markets. Now, we are down right now. Last night when I was looking at things, we were actually up on a lot of things. Well, everything on the news and stuff was like the global markets just crashing completely. And we had Bitcoin and stuff, it went back up to like 85,000 yesterday. It's down to 82.6 today. So that sucks. Obviously overnight happens. The one advantage we do have is, global markets cease to exist in trading on the weekends unless you pay extra money to trade during it. Only rich people do that. Or DJ Mines, he does that too because it's DJ. But for the most part, we don't have to worry about Wall Street manipulation on the weekend. So the ETFs and, all that garbage stuff that's getting involved with crypto, all we have is, real crypto people during the weekend. So hopefully we can see something kind of come back here. But for the most part, we're now red. So that sucks. We had a lot of green. Now we're red. If we look in the 24 hours here, Quai Network seems to be doing something. What's happening on Quai? We're up almost 30%. It was actually 33%. Now it's down to 29. But Quai seems to be doing something. Carlson has been up over 20% for the past 2 days or something. So that's actually pretty sweet. Ironfish looks like it wants to do something. Meowcoin has been going up lately too, I've noticed. Anyone else notice that? Is that something to do with the new algorithm? They're going to be, not new algorithm, but they are going to be doing the dual algorithm merge mine operation happening on script. You guys are aware about that? So yeah, Antminer L9s and stuff will be mining Meowcoin soon. Now it's not going to be directly all the time. It's going to be every X amount of blocks and stuff. It's going to be swapping back and forth between GPU miners and script miners. They won't be mining at the same time. So it's going to be a split chain for mining coming forward here. I think it's in testing right now. And obviously for the script side on merge mining, it all comes down to the pool. Is the pool going to add it? Which pools are going to add it? I'm not sure which ones are going to do it yet, but eventually, depending how it does, we'll see. If the large pools hit it, it could be pretty rough. Now, if only the small pools, like mining Dutch, for example, then it might actually be decent. Because that's why we had those massive profits before, is when pretty much only mining Dutch was mining like cat coin, cat ceiling coin, or whatever it was, and lucky coin and things like that, it was boosting your script profits by like $20 a day because there was no hash rate online. Then all of a sudden, we had Litecoin, Pool, and Via BTC, and everyone else turned on, and your profits went from $20 a day down to like cents. So it sucks because the hash rate went way too high. So it'll be interesting. At first, we may get decent profit if only like one pool or something supports this. Obviously, over time, people will talk about it, larger pools will get on it, and then it's just going to drop to nothing. We got Gram in here. Veers coin is up at 5% again. You know, obviously we're not at any all-time highs. It looks like it's collapsing here, but you know, it's at least in the past 24 where it's going back up. Zeph has been doing some interesting things lately. It's at 61 cents. Now I can't remember. What was this at when I was talking about this before? I got to find that video. Do you guys remember? It was a couple weeks ago. I was saying, you know what? We got to sit back, relax, and rethink crypto. If you were thinking, you know, 4 months ago, 6 months ago and stuff when Zeph was at, or, you know, even like a year ago or something, I can't remember what it was, but Zeph went to $50 and, you know, obviously it just crashed down to nothing. If you look back at those days, you're done. But if you revamp everything, like this was down to only, what, 30 cents or something? Was it like 25, 30 cents Zeph dropped to? And that's around the time I did that video. If you started mining it then, which was a couple weeks ago, revamp it, you would have already 2x. Now, obviously, you didn't 2x because you're allegedly not allowed to buy or sell it yet, or at least send coins to the exchange while the audit process, which is on right now. But it's not going to take very much to ramp that profits up 2, 3, 4x. I really think Zeph, depending on the audit, could see $5 plus again. I don't think we're going to see the original $400. I think a lot of crap happened in between there where it did destroy some huge 1000x gains possibly, but I still think we can see probably a good 5 to 10x coming out of Zeph, depending how that audit process does come forward. So thinking at about right now, moving forward, I still think Zeph is a good play, depending on the audit. So it's still definitely a 100% high risk because we don't know how the audit's going to come out. Now, I think the audit's going to work in a couple ways, which is interesting. And when I show you guys how to do the audit, I'm going to do a video when, you know, everything's released. Right now, you can do it in the CLI wallet. You got to do it in a bunch of transactions. So I kind of want to do it in both ways. I might audit half my coins in the CLI and the other half in the GUI, just to give you guys an idea so I can show you guys how to actually do that. Because two things are going to happen here. Well, maybe just one thing majorly. But when the audit is done, all the coins that didn't get audited are gone. That means, say there was a big influx of coins and stuff like that, but people, if you don't audit your wallet, you're going to lose all your coins. They're gone, out of here. So what the audit is actually doing, it is turning Zeph from the normal chain, normal Zeph, to a Zeph audit coin. And it's like once the fork goes back, only Zeph audit coin will be the legit coin. So if you do not audit your coins, they will remain on an old dead blockchain known as Zeph instead of being the Zeph audit coin. Now, I don't know what the actual final names are, but that's kind of what's going on. It is the audit process is swapping coins from current Zeph to this audited version of the coin. And any coins, like you have a whole month to do it. So you have 1 month from now, I think April 5th or May 5th to 10th is when it's going to come through. So anything that happens there, so say they found a big influx of coins due to the Haven exploit that was on there. Now, so that obviously would be bad. There's a massive inflation on Zeph, way too many coins out there, yada, yada, yada. But people, if you don't audit your wallets, what if there's so many coins don't even get audited that it just cancels that out and you're back to the same supply or possibly even less? Now, that's going to be a huge number and stuff depending on what everything shows. But the possibility is there that it's not going to hit as hard, but it's going to hurt the people that don't pay attention to the coins that you have. Because if you don't audit it, those coins are gone. And that will remove all the coins that happened from the possibly alleged hack, dropping the supply back down. So there's different ways how this can go. And I'm really curious to see what happens. So bottom line is, if you have any Zeph coins, audit your damn coins or they're going to be gone, is pretty much the bottom line. Moving in, what do we got here? Lost all my Sol because of that crap. Yeah, like I forgot about Sol. I had mine on the exchange, which you're never supposed to do. So the exchanges were supposed to audit themselves supposedly. So I don't know if I have mine. I haven't checked on it forever. But I should have did a video on the whole Selvium thing, but that's how it happened when I was sick for those 3 months. And, I still kind of am, but not as bad, obviously, as then. But, like, I don't know. It's rough. And I didn't record anything, and I probably should have to give more word out. I totally forgot about it. I quit paying attention to most of the crypto stuff during those 3 months, and it was just, it was crazy. Now, I'm still trying to catch up on everything, and I don't really know everything that's been going on. But, yeah, that kind of sucks for people that didn't do the audit. So, we're trying to get the word out now. Audit your damn coins for Zeph, or they are going to be gone here. Moving forward, we got Atika, it's up 1%. We got Nexa. It was, actually, no, it's not. It looks like it's all been downhill. You guys can't even see all that right here. Now you can see the kind of charts. It's all kind of going downhill. But here's Zeph. You can see it's been on kind of a run over the past week here, looking not too bad, getting some health back, getting some strength. That's good. Meowcoin, we can see going up here. Obviously, we got Kwai here. That's been interesting lately. A lot of people are upset with that because it opened a lot lower, especially with all the hype train it had. It opened very low compared to people's expectations. Now, that could be a good thing. I think that's a good thing. I don't know how Kwai's going to eventually do. Obviously, it still has a lot of hype behind it. I hate the algorithm because it uses way too much power. But in terms of the coin itself, usually we have test nets and we have airdrops and all this stupid crap happening, and then all of a sudden all these coins get dropped and added, and they add testnet coins to mainnet and they carry over and whatever, all this crap. In my mind, a testnet is a testnet. If you want to test the damn coin, test it for free. That's what the testnet's for. If you're opening a chain on mainnet, just start from zero, no airdrops, no coins, just start from zero and go, which is kind of what sounds like what are they called? What's that coin that's with Monero kind of right now? I can't remember the name of it anymore. Anyway, you guys know. Oh, yeah, the Tari, that one. So they are doing a thing right now where you have to mine in their app. So you have to install this Windows app throughout every PC. Let me just kind of bring that up. Where's Tari.com? This one. So I was going to try to mine this and everything, but that was my main issue. They're focusing on trying, I don't know how this coin is going to do it all. It's currently in testnet, but in the next week or two, mainnet is supposed to drop. But this is pretty much, I think it's built in Rust. So it's like a Rust Monero, kind of. I don't know if it has a privacy part. But anyway, so it's on RandomX. It also is on GPU. It's dual minables, CPUs and GPUs. And they're adding in a merge version. And obviously, this is not going to help GPUs whatsoever. I don't even know why they have GPUs on here. And GPUs is running on SHA-3, which means if this coin does anything, it could easily be acceptable to an ASIC side on the GPU side moving forward. Someone will easily drop an ASIC if that's the case and the coin does something. But for now, they're mining Tari. It's the CPU side is RandomX, and then the GPU side is SHA-3. And they want to also dual mine on the CPU side. You can dual mine Monero. Now, it doesn't make sense for anybody on GPUs. If you saw the video on the 3070, GPUs cannot mine Monero worth a damn. That's another thing. I don't know what Cubic's doing there. They expect GPU miners to mine Monero or something in that off time. That is stupid as well. So I don't know what some of these people are thinking. But anyway, the CPU side have a benefit here because they can obviously mine Monero in the side chain. So when the CPU side is, well, I guess it's mining Monero always. But when you're downloading this app, and you have to download it to every single computer in Windows, you can run your own node and get everything up running if you want to point your CPU farm to it. So that's the way I was looking at it. But the way it's sitting right now in testnet is you have to use their universe. That's this thing right here. Download Tari Universe. And then you can actually, I think I have it downloaded, but I never really did sync it up and get it going. But you can, if you do the universe right now, you earn these gems or something, and supposedly those are giving you an airdrop when mainnet hits, or they're worth something, or maybe they're not, or maybe they weren't. I'm kind of confusing myself right now. They might not be worth anything right now, but they're tokens that you can use on the Tari shop store. So they're actually allowing you to get stuff that you can use to get like merch and stuff, but you're not getting coins worth of value and stuff. So when mainnet hits, this is actually starting at 0 and you don't have to worry about that. But again, you have a GPU and a CPU side, and you're going to have to run a node if you actually want to point your entire farm to it that's in Hive OS or something, which is running the CLI wall and stuff. So there's a lot of different setup process in there, but I think things like this is kind of interesting because you're not getting all those stupid airdrops and things like that. So I don't know if you guys have been following this. I just found out about this last week during our live stream, actually, when Retro Mike and stuff were bringing up about it's kind of like Bible coin where they're proxying out to other Monero coins. Now I don't think that's entirely true because you used to mine to a pool and then the pool would proxy all the hash rate out on Bible coin to an XMR pool. Now, in this case, you actually have to run XMRig as well as the other software, and it's kind of doing both things at once. But I think that's bad on the GPU side because now you're only mining for half the day on an ASIC friendly algorithm, which they aren't made yet, but they could come. But now in the off time, you have no options. You can't really do anything else because the miners aren't set up. So you're going to have to configure your own script or something. Some of you guys could probably do that to turn on your GPU to a different miner and different coin in that, where most people where this is geared to for nice and easy access, you're obviously not going to be able to do that because you don't know what's going on. But this is an interesting project that is coming up. I think mainnet, like I said, is like 2 weeks away or something like that. So crazy. You guys heard about that coin or anything? How do we mine Tari? So, I don't know how to really put it. Let me see. Do I have it here? Tari. Tariff news. Where did I install it? I'm pretty sure I installed it in here. Maybe I deleted it. Tari. Oh, man. I might have got rid of it or something. I had it. I think I had it in this. I don't know. Anyway, you just download the universe, like this guy right here. Now, if you actually want to download, this is what you're going to need, the whatever suite right here to actually run the how do you put it? You're not going to get anything because it's in testnet if you run the suite, but this is your own nodes and everything and pool and all that stuff. And it's a script that pretty much does it all by itself. It's pretty simple. It's like click, 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 done. But so that's a nice setup process here. But you got to sync up your node and all that good stuff, and then you can point your rigs and everything to your own node and solo mine that way, running the suite. And like I said, the first one here, which is the one they're really trying to promote in, the one they're updating all the time, is just one click, but you got to install Tari Universe on every PC in Windows, and it's like running NiceHash Miner or something like that, where you pretty much sync it up and then hit mine, and you're done. Like, pretty simple, but this option I don't like, and I'm not taking all my Hive OS rigs and stuff off Hive OS and installing Windows in them all and doing this one by one. It's just dumb. So that's why I would prefer them to start, giving more support on this side of things. That way we can point any rig to our node and send it. Now, I imagine when mainnet hits, there's probably going to be mining pools releasing as well. And in that case, you don't have to worry about any of this unless you want to go full decentralized on the network. Mining to your own node is always the best way to mine any cryptocurrency out there, but you got to have patience to do so depending on network hash rate. So I imagine pools will come out here once mainnet may be getting closer here, but for now, this is all you get. But you do not get anything by doing it this way. I was talking earlier about those tokens. They're using the merch store, the gems, I think they're calling it. You cannot do that by mining your rigs this way. You have to use that Windows platform. It's the only thing set up for it. So that does kind of suck. In a way, there. Anyway. But by making you use their app on Windows, that means ASIC can't mine it. That's only for testnet, bits, please. That's only for testnet. And like I said, you have the other node. So this is only for testnet that you're able to do it. Once mainnet hits, everything's worth the same. So I imagine a lot more people are going to be going this way, and then pools are probably going to come as well. That's why. So it doesn't matter. It's just that the nice, easy access one is running this. But obviously, people with large farms and stuff, they're going to be running this or moving to a mining pool when one does emerge. And then obviously, at that point, the GPU side, depending how the coin does. Like if the coin sucks and doesn't do anything right out of the gates or, over the next few months, I don't imagine any ASIC manufacturer to even be worth their R&D time to look into making an ASIC. Sure, like SHA-3, it won't take much. It's probably they could just convert a lithium miner or maybe an early Kaspa miner over to this somehow. So they already got half the R&D done because it's only SHA-3. So, it'd probably be fast to do it, but I don't expect them to actually put in the work or anything unless something happens. And it's also only 50% of the time. So it's not like you're building an ASIC and going to be mining all the time. If they build an ASIC, miners got to realize that, this is only half the day you're mining this coin. The other half is on CPUs. And the CPU side is also can mine Monero at the exact same time, doubling up worthwhile. That's why I think this should have been strictly CPU only, not even have a GPU side, especially a GPU side that's heavily acceptable to ASIC. So that doesn't even make any sense to me why that's a thing. But right now, that's just the way it is currently. I just bought my first few mining ASIC rigs. Thanks for inspiring me. King Rat. Which ASICs did you end up getting yourself there? Auditing Zeph coins. What is the plan now that the CPUs are gone? I am going to be getting more CPUs is my plan, in a way, in a nutshell. We'll see what happens. I got to play with the market though. So yeah, I got rid of the 3900X, and it's that there's nothing big here. Yeah, some of it's gonna be a sad day because I have had those rigs for quite some time, but I'm keeping obviously all my 7950Xs. I'm keeping my Epics. I'm keeping my dual Epics, and I'm gonna be converting the 3000 series into 7000 series. All it is pretty much a swap out of hardware to gain more efficiency. So long term, I'll be able to hash at the same amount, even surpass the amount of hash rate I currently have, but I'll be doing it at less power spent because moving to higher efficiency equipment is what you got to ultimately do to stay competitive in the cryptocurrency market. And that's just the way it is. So I know I did the same thing back when, 2021, 2022, I swapped out. Actually, I guess it was 2020. I swapped out all my RX 580s, sold all of them for when, the prices on GPUs and everything went up here. And I converted the same amount of hash rate. Like I had 12 to 15 RX 580s. And I swapped that out to 7 or 8 3000 series at the time. I maintained the same amount of hash rate, dropped my card number down a lot, and I maintained a lot more efficient for the hash rate. And that's pretty much what I'm doing here. Is it's all about kind of downgrade or losing less efficient hardware for more efficient hardware and go from there. Now I'm also up in the air because this is something we always play out. Coming back into 2020, 2021, and we knew Ethereum merge and stuff was coming, and looking at all the numbers, it's like, hey, you know what? Even though all the profits look amazing right now, once the merge happens, look at Ravencoin. We're going to go from, $2 a day profit down to negative 10 cents. And no one believed me at all. Everyone's happy, profits coming, and then look what happened. Profits tanked. They were dead. Ethereum is the only reason any of the other coins were profitable because it absorbed all the hash rate as well as all the new hardware coming in and everything. So we went down to that, and then going from there, we saw GPUs, obviously we're going to be looking rough and not good at all. And then I started looking at CPU stuff, and that's when I started building up the CPU side. And through the entire bear market, CPUs were profitable up until, were very profitable up until maybe just 6 months ago. So the past 2-3 years has been profitable mining cryptocurrencies. Absolutely sucked. Everyone said it was horrible because most people are on GPUs, but CPU miners were still making good money for the past 3 years. Now moving forward, everything's kind of not looking rough right now. More people have been building CPUs. I do think a lot of people are going to quit this cycle on GPUs, and that might open up for next cycle GPUs. So I'm still up in the air. I got to feel out the market, run numbers, and it's going to take some time to figure out where things might go because we're right on the tipping edge right now. Not enough people quit GPUs to make it worthwhile yet, but I do think that's coming. So I might have to just slowly reinvest back into, and obviously you're going to need the newer hardware. So, we'll probably have 6000 series NVIDIA GPUs in 2 years or something from now, which will be peak bear market type of season. Everything's going to be pretty much at lows. So moving there, it might slowly start moving into a GPU side again where there's more profits because so many people finally quit on top of having the hardware. And if people quit, they're not like, I'm not going to go through this again. I'm not buying all these GPUs. It's going to be trash. But if you're actually watching the markets and thinking, okay, this actually might be doing okay. All the hash rate dropped. We got new efficient GPUs. I can compete again. And then we wait for that 2029 boom. It might be worth GPU mining again. But you got to play the market. You got to feel it out. You got to look back at them. And that turned to be a pretty big mistake, as most people are finding out. It was because they went from the Kaspa hype into Ethereum. They knew Ice River was legit now, and everyone just bought everything up like day one. And then it was just straight difficulty day one. And it just, was bad for a lot of people out there. So now we're coming into like a Leo and stuff. Radiant was the same thing. ASIC started hitting and it was just bad. But, I wouldn't really buy anything Dragon Ball because they seem to just wreck any network they're on. Cough Nexa. Sad to say about Radiant. I was hoping Radiant would be awesome. There's still a good chance for it, but it feels like Dragon Ball just wrecks everything. But now we're coming into like, say, a Leo, and price on a Leo is going down. But because everyone burnt so hard on Kaspa, later Kaspa, early Kaspa, people made out like bandits and they made a lot of money and they're still stacking and stuff like that. But, early Ethereum, ASIC side of things, obviously GPUs is a totally different story on Ethereum. They're probably made decent bank there. But ASIC side, middle Kaspa, early Ethereum miners got burnt pretty hard because of all that hype and FOMO. They're backing away from a Leo. And some people who do have a Leo miners, it's been 2-3 months since the early gold shell miners released, and they are still making, the yields have not dropped at all because nobody has been buying them, which is good for the people that did because they're stacking coins like crazy and people are still backing off. Now, the big thing is we have Ice River set to release sometime, I guess, in 2 weeks from now, isn't it? April 15th, they start shipping or something. So that's in 2 weeks from now. Ice Rivers will start to ship, which obviously blow gold shells away. We got 50 mega hash coming at only 100 watts instead of 36 mega hash coming in at 300 and some watts. So it's going to be interesting to see. That's when we'll really start to see that increase in hash rate, depending if anybody actually got into it. And then obviously Bitmain is set to release in about 3 or 4 months. They're a Leo miner. That's probably when we'll see the spike here, but it all comes down to that. So anyone with early gold shell right now, even though they were kind of expensive, if a Bitmain pump comes in within about 4 months here, I think they might ROI this thing. They'll probably get about 3x of what they paid for that. So I'm expecting a gold shell miner probably could have made about $5,000 to $9,000 by in the next 4 months if a Bitmain pump happens from that $3,000 investment, which is pretty good. Obviously, if you bought the coin, you probably would have got quite a bit more at that point, but it'll be interesting to see. But I do think a Leo, for the people that did try to get miners early, are going to see some nice green smiley days ahead, depending. Now, the really big number here is I want to see what the hash rate does when Ice Rivers do release here in the next 2 weeks. Once those start shipping, that will give us a good idea on how many people really backed off this time, or maybe they were just waiting for Ice River here before the Bitmain thing. So, but the way it's looking right now is people on a Leo are doing pretty good. Flux is going to amaze everyone. Flux will do good. It's a late bloomer. I don't think Flux is also pretty rough on the mining standpoint. That infrastructure that they're doing, it's great. They got a lot of stuff going on, but I think they talk a lot and don't really deliver. It's slow on delivery and a lot of promotions, almost like a politician. Promise everything, do nothing pretty much, or blame someone else. I can't remember how that saying goes. You guys know what I mean. Their PR team is obviously great. They talk about everything all the time, but there still hasn't really been stuff coming in. But, it's all about slow progress. The slower you build, the strength of the community and everything going up, the better and stronger your foundation is moving forward. Same thing with like YouTube channels and things like that. Build a nice core base and slowly expand from there, stay consistent, things like that. And Flux, they've been trying to stay consistent. They're trying to do a lot of things. And yeah, eventually I think it will do great things. Like look at, what do we got here? What's Flux looking like? Flux, bam. Let's go to all. Like we look back in this stage here. Let's just go to here, and then we'll come into here. Like, look at Flux. Like it was 1 cent. You know, January of 2021, which let's just look where we were right now. Let's just see where we were right now. Right now, February, we're in what? We're in the 4th month, April. Let's just look exactly where we were. Here's February, April 5th. Okay, here's 7th. Close enough. So look at Flux is 15 cents. I don't know. Was it 1 cent here? Yeah, 3 cents. So here we have 15-cent Flux about this time 4 years ago. You know, and everyone's like, oh, whatever. You know, I don't really remember what people were talking about at the time. But then look what it does. This went from 15 cents to $2.78. This happened in November, and then the peak actually happened in January here, January 3rd. This is actually my birthday. Who else's birthday is on January 3rd? That's right. What is that? Restream Insights. Yeah, I don't know, whatever that is. Bitcoin's birthday is also January 3rd. Coincidence? I think not. Anyway, Flux was Zell. The Flux was Flux in this area here. Zell was when did it go from Zell into Flux? I can't remember, but it was Flux in 2021. Because I remember I was talking about it and Zellcore and all this stuff. So it was Flux. And you know, when Ethereum was peaking here and stuff. So anyway, coming in here, you know, it went from, 15 cents to freaking $3.12. So it didn't really do anything in between until the end of the year. And that's why I'm saying altcoin season. Everyone's like, oh, our altcoins are dead. This is happening. But guys, we're mining altcoins. We're not mining Ethereum, which doesn't even look like it's much of a core coin anymore. It hasn't really been doing what it did in 2021. Bitcoin is still doing, some amazing things because Bitcoin is OG. Bitcoin is Bitcoin. Nothing can touch Bitcoin. But altcoins, guys, they're dead. They're nothing. Their value is zero, trash. They're not supposed to go up yet. They're nothing. Dead, 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 dead. Pump, dead. That's pretty much how it works. They're dead until they pump and then they die. And it doesn't last very long at all. That's why I still think, we're going to have an altcoin season. It might be, we don't know when it's going to be. In theory, this time last cycle, Doge and Litecoin started pumping like right now. Right now is when they started doing their major run up to their high, which happens sometime next month. Now, Bitcoin actually happened. It broke its all-time high, and it did its previous December pump in November. So a lot of people think, oh, maybe it's different this time. Maybe it's a month earlier, which makes sense. A lot of times, the highs hit a month earlier. But now when it comes to altcoins and stuff, maybe it's going to be a month or two later because everyone has to figure out what the heck is going on everywhere. But, regardless, I do think it's going to be coming soon. Flux was a late bloomer. It happened towards the end of the year, even after it peaked, after Bitcoin peaked. But most altcoins should be peaking like within the next couple months, depending on what's going on with the world. I always say ignore the world, wait for the pump, get ready and dump. It's going to be dump season here. It could start in the next 2 weeks for all we know. Like it could happen anytime. Just be ready to dump your coins. Remove your crap from nodes if they're locked in. Anything with a lockup period, get the hell out of there. Get your coins in your wallet. Get your wallet synced up. Have your wallets ready to send coins to an exchange because before we know it, these things are going to spike. Someone on YouTube or Twitter is going to tell you it's going to keep going higher. They're going to sell their bag. They're going to laugh at you, and then you're going to be left holding the bag. Now, here's a rule that based on previous cycles, by the end of this year, or maybe January, because Flux was a late bloomer, January next year. But if you still have coins left in a wallet and it's not USDT or a stable coin of any kind, by January of 2026, end of January, end of February, I'll give it a 2-month leeway there, then you're stuck left holding the bag for 4 months. You shouldn't have any crypto left in your wallets by the end of this year or early next year, because everything should have pumped and be done by then. So just be ready, because anytime it could happen. Just like pick your level. If you want to sell it this, sure, it could go, say you sell it $2 and this coin goes to $2.50. Oh, you missed the high. But you want to sell it the volume too. You want to sell it like right here, not right here. You try to sell it right here, it's only going down. Well, obviously it went back up again here. But, the point here is if you try to sell it here, no one's buying it at the top anymore. It's only going down. So you want to sell it when you really start to see the volume spiking for a couple weeks in a row. And you want to get out in this stage. Sure, it goes a bit higher after that, but it was an easy sell at this point because everybody was buying it right through here. So you want to sell here and then don't worry about it all. don't even look at that coin or crypto anymore for, you know, the next 4 years, unless you want to buy back at the bottom, which will happen sometime in the next year or two coming forward. 2026, 2027 is when, you know, a lot of the bottoms should be hitting again, and that's when you get back into the coins by purchasing those coins from previous sales. Now, a lot of us probably bought all our Lambos, our mansions, our ranches by then, so we probably don't have any money left to buy crypto, but you get what I'm saying. Lambos and ranches and, you know, all that good stuff. Got to be positive, guys. Ignore the world, ignore the tariffs. I really say whatever. Sure, everything's looking absolutely horrible and bad right now, but guess what? Nothing is really supposed, things are supposed to be starting right now, but altcoins shouldn't really be doing it. Here's an example, Dogecoin, when it started to do its thing. Let's just go back to this, come back. So here's last cycle, and we're sitting about right here. So we can see April 9th. So in 4 days' time is when Dogecoin did its thing 4 years ago. Now, ultimately, I'm up in the air on Dogecoin. I think Doge may have had a really good chance of already hitting its peak. Obviously, it wasn't all-time high. I don't care about all-time highs. Like, compared to bear markets, like, look at Dogecoin, 6 cents, and then it went up to freaking 46 cents. That's huge gains. That's big gains. Sure, everyone's expecting this. I've always said, I don't care if coins hit their all-time high. If they hit 50% of their all-time high, that's huge from right now. Just pick a target. Now, obviously here, Elon did his tweet or something. He started saying how he likes Dogecoin, or he started accepting it at Tesla or something like that, and that caused this. Now, things are a little different on the Doge side, as, you know, depending where you are and what you agree with in terms of electric cars and stuff. Personally, I think electric cars are dumb as yeah, that. So I don't really care anything about Tesla or electric cars or anything. In my mind, you know, this is nothing to be, how do we say it? This is in my mind, this is what I think going. Like, think about it. Think about everything logically. We have scientists. We have Carney in Canada. Like, I don't want to talk politics or anything here, because that just turns into a mess and people start fighting and it's just dumb. So, but what I want to come back to is, like, you know, we have Carney, we had Trudeau here from my perspective, because this is where I live. And then they brought in the whole carbon tax thing, and then the electric key, and they have all these scientists coming in through the world, which I really feel is rigged in my mind. And they're saying how, you know, greenhouse gases and global warming and all this thing. Look at how we have so many more fires in California and all these things happening. And then you look at the sun. It's hilarious how they point this out, but they totally say, like, maybe they don't even have it as a conclusion that it could happen on Earth. Anyway, we go through a 10 to 11 year cycle on the sun. Remember, we have the solar flares every 10, 11 years. This one was a big one for a lot of northern lights and stuff. Depending where you live, you could see them way farther than you used to be able to. Sometimes the EMP from the solar storms, they could even shut down electricity grids, things like that. I don't think we got that bad, you know, last year, this year, and that. But the whole point of that is the solar storm's on a cycle. The sun's on a 10-year cycle. And what happens in this 10-year cycle is the north and south poles on the sun, they switch every 10 years. And that's what causes these solar storms at the peaks. Every 10 years they swap, and that's what causes out these emissions and stuff. Now, all of a sudden, we hear on the news, we hear all this. Like, they tell us that we're lying and this is the thing, but they don't actually come forward, and then they make up something that they can scam all the people out of. And, you know, oh, we have a carbon policy, pay us more money. Oh, we have this, pay us more money. You know, we're trying to push out these electric cars, and nobody can support an electricity grid to charge any of them worth a hell. So, you know, there's all this money that they're just trying to suck out of people by making up scams in Central. So coming in here, now we got, you know, we have a 100-year storm. We have a 200-year storm. Oh, we're seeing 100-year more storms more frequently. Why are they calling them 100-year storms? Oh, because it only happens 100-year storms. So you're saying the storm we had happened 100 years ago. So it must be global warming now, but not then. Or you think about it, what if the possible poles in the world are actually switching? Like, what if, you know, you look way back when, you know, there used to be water here, no water here. Oh, we got hit with a meteor. That is BS. That didn't happen. You know, I really don't. I think, you know, the whole a lot of stuff we're supposed to be taught from the day we're born isn't really out there. It might sound like a massive conspiracy theorist, but like, how do we know that the poles and stuff aren't just going north, south, things like that on Earth? It's a natural occurrence. Things slowly start moving up here. Lands change. What if that's just a normal 100,000 year occurrence that happens on Earth, but they just want to figure out a way to scam everybody out of more money? But anyway, moving in, this is a big explanation on Doge. So anyway, we're coming into Tesla. Doge, Elon Musk, he's been talking about Doge forever, and we have all this coming in on and I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. But now he has the Doge department, which I thought was going to make Doge actually go huge. And that rumor was actually when all this started happening. And now people are actually losing credit with Musk, depending who you talk to and stuff. And the whole Doge thing. And Musk is stepping down from it, he said, by the end of May or something, because of all the vandalism that's going on. It's probably hurting him business side. And obviously he cares about money. So he's slowly pulling away from the politics side, and everything's going crazy. But I think the Doge Musk link isn't as strong, obviously, as it was in 2021. So this may have already been the peak. Now I hope that's wrong, and maybe something crazy starts to happen in the next, obviously next week or a month here, depending if it's a little bit later. But this may have been a good chance of being Doge's peak already. So we'll just have to wait and see how that plays out. But I do think Doge possibly peaked already. There's a good chance that may have happened. I know that was a super long explanation for just that. Oh man, use the putts. I'm not getting into any of the situation with any of that because it would turn into all sorts of fighting and things. What? That's what Doge is looking for, the scammers inside the government. Battery strip mines. It's cold up there. It can get cold. Musk's appointment was only to last a short while. He isn't stepping down. He was time limited from the get-go. Oh, well, I wasn't sure. I just seen an article. Like I don't, like I said, I don't pay attention to a lot of the stuff. I just seen an article says he's stepping down. So maybe that was always the plan from the start. So then that's just happening in May. So regardless, I just think it's interesting that, I just seen the article when everything started going on, and obviously blah, blah. And you just kind of think, okay, well, obviously he's coming down because he's losing money on this side of things, but I don't know. We'll see. So if there's always a time thing, then, it's coming to an end anyway. Not fake news. Only brainwashed people think it's fake news. Anyway, moving forward. Scaper, what do we got here? Jock McMiner. Hi, yep. All appears on a downward trend. Don't forget, the very first cars ever built were battery powered. The only reason we have ICE cars is due to commerce. Oil rules the world. Pole shift. Yep, the Jupiter menace will eventually flip the poles. I'm with you on government manipulation, 100%. Oh, crazy. Appointment was only to last. Oh, we went through that. Why do Canadians always get sick? Panda Rabid. I usually never get sick. I'm usually like I've only been sick about 3-4 times in my entire life for the most part since I can remember when I was like 5. But this last 3 months, like it's been. I don't know what it was. I still don't know what it actually is. Like, it could be an infection from my tooth, which I got to get pulled. It could be, a couple other things. But, yeah, crazy. Full shift, Jupiter. What do we got? If he's selling cars to those markets, it makes little sense to make those cars here in Saudi. What are we talking about? What's in Saudi? What's going on in Saudi? DJ Mine said something. Oh, where's the dang pump? Is that what you're saying in Saudi? I'm not sure. Anyway, so continuing on, what else do we got going on here? Mining pools. Let's take a look at some mining pools. What pools? What's everyone mining right now anyway? How's things looking? Let's look at the emissions of coins right now. Like even Bitcoin well, they did have that happen, so I guess we have that. Dogecoin is down to 2.3 million. Then look, we got Kaspa's only at 338,000. Wow, remember this? This used to be over $4 or $5 million, Kaspa. Now it's down to only $338,000. That is insane. Friendcoin is still rocking 4th place, 322. ETC 209. Bitcoin Cash 150. Ravencoin is rocking 37. Nervous. So what do we got here for GPU side? Ravens in 7th, and the next, we got Conflux here. Conflux, I haven't mined that one forever. But that's actually a big coin. Look at this. Conflux is in 10th place. Conflux is a top 10 coin. To think about that. And it's only paying out $30,000 a day to miners. Absolutely crazy. Flux is only 11,000. Yeah, that's pretty low. Like the size of this network is so small. There's only like 12,000 GPUs mining Flux. Like that's crazy to think of. That is such a small network, like 12,000. You know, Ravencoin is something like what did we look at a couple of weeks ago? Was 150, 200,000 GPUs are on Ravencoin right now versus other coins like, you know, like Flux and stuff with only like 15, 12,000, 15,000 or something. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Decred. Been a while since I heard that one. Cadena. Oh, Cadena. Cadena. How's Cadena been doing? Look, well, it's red here, obviously. Where else to find new coins? I look at Bitcoin Talk and mining pool stats. Anywhere else to look? Not really. Bitcoin Talk is really the only way to really look if you want to get super, super early, unless it's like a scam coin. Bitcoin Talk. Let's see, like, what do we got? Bitcoin Talk. Where is altcoin stuff? Mining, Bitcoin discussion, other. Where the heck is it? Where's altcoin discussion? Oh, right here. Announcements, altcoins. I think that's the one. What do we got here? Well, 42 Dingo coin official. Okay, where's something that's new? Last post was today. Bitcore. Cross-platform crypto wallet. Nah, I'm not touching any Bitcoin Talk crypto wallets. Futures now. Yeah, I'm not. What is this? Pathcoin. Patchcoin. PTC. What is that? What's a patchcoin? Or patching a vulnerability or increasing. What do we got? Like Bitcoin, of course. Like new. What's new? Fair launch of Wea Wolf coin. There's nothing new really going. And Pi Network. Which one's Pi Network? I see Son of a Tech always saying stay away from that stuff. I remember hearing about Pi Coin long time ago where you're on your phone, you just push a button once a day or something. That's how you're mining. I was like, how does this even work? Push a button on your phone once a day and you're a miner. Is that a thing? Pi is an app. What? Is my internet all messed up? Is my thing? No data. Stream will end shortly. What? I don't know what's going on, guys. This is all messed up. What is happening with this? Internet sucks. Yeah, it's saying the stream will end shortly unless you restart it in your streaming software. Now it says excellent condition. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. This thing is a mess. You're hacked at that moment. I messed up. Yes, I'm skipping some lag. This is wired. It's all wired. I'm hardwired in, but I don't know what's been going on. I don't know if it's a restream issue or a different issue. I don't know. This is all messed up. Something's broken. How about you guys on the Twitch there? Is the Twitch there? Was it cutting out for there too, or is it a YouTube thing? Chocolate Miner? Escape, are you guys over there? Was it cutting out at all for on the Twitch there? It's fine on Twitch there? Oh, it must be a Tubester thing. I don't know what's going on. That's weird. I might have to double check some settings next time. I can't change anything on the fly. Everything has to be like set in. As soon as you start your stream, it's locked in. I was getting some errors in the streaming software saying keyframe issues and lower your keyframe and stuff. So maybe I got to do that. We'll see. But yeah, I don't know. Someone's brute forcing you. Was it only for 3 to 4 seconds? Oh, yeah, I don't know. That's weird. I don't know what was happening there. Very interesting stuff. Oh my gosh. So let's take a look at some mining aspect of things. This is looking rough. Like I got a KS5 hosting. 8-cent power. And I don't even want to look to see what this is making besides nothing. Like 8-cent power is negative $2.88. Like what? Wow. 8-cent power. Nothing. That's so bad. That is like, I don't even know what to do with this miner. Like, should I sell it? Anybody want a KS5L? Oh, I haven't even paid for this thing yet. That's the other thing. I got to mine this thing to ROI, and it's like not ROI. And ROI 0. And I got this one at the exact, this is the prime definition of, when I got this one, it was actually cheaper than what the listed price was, like what, 4,400 when I got this one. I got it for like 4,000. And then 1 week after I got it is when they dropped down 50%. So they're like $2,000 right after I got it. I'm like, oh my gosh, like really? So yeah, I totally got, this is the worst thing. I'm going to make a video on this. This is the absolutely worst thing I ever did. And I bought this miner. Like this was not for free or anything. I got screwed over on this thing so bad. Yeah, horrible. Absolutely horrible. Bad day. Bad day. This thing's bad. And then there's like Kaspa. It's the emissions. If Kaspa didn't have such stupid emissions, it'd still be okay. But the emissions is dumb. Like, I wonder what Marathon Mining is thinking right now. They're like, wow, we messed up. We messed up big time. We really screwed up. I thought we had technical analysis for this, and we screwed up. Someone got fired for ordering these, I think. Marathon Mining, I think they fired a few people because of this. No, they didn't actually, but, you know, maybe they are and back to closed doors. But think about it. The whole reason Marathon Digital got into Kaspa and Kaspa community is awesome. Mara's buying. Yeah. They don't care about Kaspa. They bought Kaspa because it was a cheaper way to get more Bitcoin. You know, we talk about this as a crypto miner all the time. Mine the coin that's profitable, swap it to the coin you want. You know, as GPU miners, you know, you want Raven coin, mine something else, buy the Raven coin with those profits and so on. That's what Marathon was doing for Kaspa. They don't give a crap about Kaspa. Everyone out there thinks, you know, Marathon loves Kaspa. That's BS. Don't kid yourself. They don't care about it. They said straight up, yes, they are holding some, but the main priority of mining Kaspa for them is to get Bitcoin cheaper. They are selling their Kaspa and mining and buying Bitcoin with their Kaspa farm. Now, obviously, they're probably not doing that because they're losing money, or they shut them all off. They do have cheap power, but like, it still sucks. It's horrible. So coming into here and actually looking like Bitcoin mine, like what's the A1566 looking like? Like, look at this. Look at look at the Bitcoin miners. The Avalon A1566. It's it's cheaper you're more profitable mining Bitcoin now than you are mining frickin' Kaspa. You never, like, Bitcoin used to be one of the worst coins to mine as a home miner, as a lot of us miners, because it was the least profitable. It used so much power for like no profits. Now we have Kaspa, which makes zero. It's better to mine Bitcoin than it is for Kaspa, and that is huge. You know, Bitcoin mining is pretty, and these numbers aren't even right. Like, look at this. This is only 185 terahash, and mining now never did update yet. But the A1566 is a 212 terahash miner, minus the I here, which is even better. I imagine this one's probably maybe 260, 280 terahash if they boosted this one from that. This is just original numbers before it even released. And when it released, they upgraded it prior to release to hit the 212 terahash. This is the miner I actually have here, which I was supposed to be selling. Then, you know, some things happened there and that didn't end up getting sold. So I'm debating if I should just go the next bid down. Actually, 2 bids down because the 2 top people both declined it. Or I might just send this miner straight into hosting and solo mine Bitcoin. I'm really thinking about just throwing 212 terahash on Bitcoin solo mining with this ASIC and see what happens over the next 4 years. You know, send it. Let's go. I'm thinking about that might be what I end up doing. But I'm still up in the air if I should sell this one or not. But that's where I'm currently sitting. But mining Bitcoin right now is actual profitable, depending on your power price. This is hosting power price at 8 cents, so you're making $2 a day. So it's actually not bad considering it's friggin' Bitcoin, right? It's Bitcoin. Bitcoin mining is looking better now than lots of the end. That's how rough things are actually getting right now in crypto mining world. DJ Mines, yes, solo. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about doing. I think I'm going to send the 1566 Send it to hosting and just run her solo. Send it. See what happens. Let it run for 4 years until it blows up. Check my wallet in a couple of years and see if there's any Bitcoin in there. Wouldn't that be something? That would be amazing. As a YouTuber and everything, just be like, guys, I freaking did it. Bitcoin block confirmed. Now, the best thing on top of that, which I can't do because it'd be going to hosting because my power price is too much. It would be way too expensive to run that thing solo at home. But it would be even better if you solo mined to your own freaking Bitcoin node and smash that block. The ultimate in decentralized solo mining and smashing that block on your own node would be amazing. Wouldn't you think? That would be awesome. But like I said, I can't do that. I don't have cheap enough power to consider that. I considered it lots, but I don't have cheap enough power to consider it to actually do it. So yeah, I think I'm going to set it to host and just run it on solo mode and see what happens. Hashcat my seed phrase all you want. You'll never find it. Sold it all at 0.19 cents. Craziness. Yes, do a video on it, please. At least setting it up. Setting up what? Bleach? The node? Or setting up the miner at hosting? Dark miner sold Nano 3 a few months back. Need the cash. Now thinking of the bid axe, but it is all just hype. Well, you never know. Like, it's interesting. It's an interesting concept because, you know, Bitcoin obviously gets bigger each cycle, bigger each year, and so on. And, you know, finding a solo block is, yeah, it's very hard, next to impossible and things like that. But as of lately, like, we've been here, like, every 3 to 4 months, it seems like some small pleb miner hits the frickin' lottery. We say, oh, it's not going to happen for years and years and years and years. But so how many lottery miners are actually out there with, you know, anywhere from 50 to 200 terahash on Bitcoin? What was the last one? Last block hit, I think, had 270 terahash. Is that what it was? I can't remember off the top of my head. It was done on the FutureBit. And the FutureBit one found one, I think, 4 months prior to that also. So either people weren't actually reporting it as much as they used to, and they're just reporting it now. It does seem like it is getting more common than we thought. Now, obviously, it's still next to impossible. Like, you got to think of all the things that are contributed. It's not like mining Kaspa solo. It's not like mining this. One, you have such huge hash rate on Bitcoin. There's so many factors that makes Bitcoin mining a lot harder. Let's just look at Bitcoin right now, just so you guys get an idea here. We're about to hit 1 zettahash on the network for starters. Look at that. We're at 987 exahash. The next one is 1 zettahash. So we're pretty, you guys can't even see that on my stupid monitor. There we go. So 1 zettahash is coming up, 1 ZH. That is insane that Bitcoin's going to hit that soon. So on top of massive amount of hash rate, any miner in the world, mining farm, large guys, you're competing with the big guys in this case. Now, unlike Kaspa, which is 1 second block times, you know, Ravencoin, 2-minute block times, things like that. Bitcoin also has, like, depending on difficulty, a 10-minute block time. Sometimes it's 12 minutes, 15 minutes. Other times it drops down to 8 and stuff, depending, because the difficulty does adjust every 2 weeks. So, you know, obviously they get faster and slower depending on the network hash rate there and the difficulty adjustments. But, you know, the average is around 10 minutes time. So now you got to think about it. You know, you might be mining, you know, you have Ravencoin with like 1-2%. Actually, that's still a lot of hash rate in GPU side. But, you know, that's a 2-minute block time. That means there is freaking 5 blocks being found for every 1 Bitcoin block based on that, with a lot less competition. And look how long, oh, it took me 2 months to find a Ravencoin block or something stupid like that, right? So now compare that with all the hash rate on Bitcoin at 10-minute block times. It is 100% a lottery. It is so hard to hit a freaking block, but it does happen. It happens. If you're sending at least 1 hash, that 1 hash has potential to find a block. That's all it takes is 1 hash. You know, you can think of it as a world of chips. I seen, who was it that mentioned it? Who makes the bid axe? Not the main bid axe, but they've been doing like mod versions of the bid axe. I can't remember their name, but they've been selling a lot of their modded versions of the bid axe and stuff, and they're really popular. But I think they put it out. You know, everyone says, you know, solo mining, this, that. It's not a game of miners. It's not a game. It's a game of chips. Some people just have more chips than others. You got a chip that sends a hash, that hash has a chance to find a block. Obviously, it's next to impossible, but it is. It's just a game of chips, and some people got more chips. That's all it's pretty much about. No, it's not Nerd Gears either. It's Bit something. It's like BitAxe, but it's not BitAxe. It's Bit. I can't remember who they're called, but they got the cool, fancy, the 3D printed. They got all these cool, glowing extra screens. Like their BitAxes look freaking amazing. I can't remember who it is that's selling those. Well, is it better to think about the Bitmain S19 or SMTH and forget these gimmick miners? Well, that's a situation because obviously the bigger you go, well, it depends. You're looking for a fridge. It all comes down to, can you find good cheap hosting? Do you have cheap power or solar for yourself? Do you have the infrastructures? It's always better to go bigger. Like obviously an S21 is brand new, so it's probably going to be more expensive, but maybe the Avalon, like the A1566 or the S19, stuff like that, they're kind of old gen. They might be a lot more worth it. The small little solo miners, they're popular because they're not, over $1,000, $2,000, and they don't use that much power, but they're also the most expensive for the hash that you get, and they are fairly efficient, but they're not as efficient as the latest hardware either. So obviously getting an S21 is going to cost you more, but you're going to be using quite a bit more power than stacking up, or it's also going to be a lot cheaper than stacking up 1,000, BitAxe gammas versus a single S21. The S21 is ultimately going to be like 1,000 times cheaper to purchase at that, even though it looks much more upfront, but you're also running at quite a bit less power than them as well. So, it depends the way you look at it. If you want, the major thing here is because they're cheap. You're only spending a couple $100 versus, $3,000 or $4,000, but you're not getting any hash either. You're going to need a lot of them if you really want a competitive edge. But like I said, all you need is that one hash. So there is a chance for just a single thing for $150 to $200 to find that block. Yes, it definitely can happen. Most likely it's not going to happen, but there is a freaking chance. And that's, that's what people are shooting for. There's people that spend money on the lottery, $20, $40 every single week since the time they were 40 to, 90, 100, or, until they pass away. There's people that buy the lottery every week. That's one draw a week for like $20 to $40, depending on the tickets that they get. In theory, this thing is $100, $150 for a draw every 10 minutes for your entire life or until it blows up. You're saving a lot more money, and you actually have a higher chance of hitting a Bitcoin block, as hard as that is to believe, than you are at winning the lottery. So I don't know. Depending which way you look at it, it looks like a better deal and worth it. And other people say, no, not a chance, not happening. But, there's so many different ways to look at so many different things. Don't be knocking gambling, tech man. Retro Mike promo code Maxi. What's your promo code? Everyone use Retro Mike's promo code. Use Maxi. Code Maxi. I'm just kidding. That's not his promo code. $150 for a $30 device. Anyone can run a BitAxe. Most people will not run big ASICs. No, that's what I mean. That's very true. But Jock McMiner, who, he mines, he knows things, he knows 240 and all this. So he just asks, is it worth this or is it worth that? And obviously, the bigger you go, the more value you're actually going to get out of it, especially for Bitcoin mining. But no, yeah, sure, for sure. People don't have the infrastructure. It's have to set up a big Bitcoin miner in their house with noise and all things like that. My promo code is rigged giveaway. So Retro Mike's promo code is rigged giveaway. Oh yeah, you just won something. What was it? I seen that. You won the bite. Isn't that what it was? You got the Gold Shell bite. I think. Is that what it was? Did I see that? Is that correct? Retro Mike, are you the proud owner of a bite? Get to use S19 for cheap or runners OS low power of 1400 watts for 53 terahash, better than a BitAxe. There you go. 1400 watts for 53 terahash. That seems expensive. What was the Mini 3? Wasn't the Mini 3 63 terahash or something like that? 40 to 63, and that's at like 700 or 800 watts. So that's even better than the S19. What is that? The Canon Mini 3, the heater. I didn't even know there was a giveaway. Oh, I'm listening to mine singing away downstairs, and I'm in the front room. You have an S19K hosted. Nice. So BitAxe or Nerd Miners? I don't know. Nerd Miners are only like kilohash, aren't they? Like they are like no hash rate. I think they're like the same amount of hash rate as like a CPU. Maybe a GPU. I don't know. Obviously, they're a lot more efficient than that. I don't think I've used. I think I have some Nerd Miners here, but I've never used it, so I'm not 100% sure on them actually. I'll believe it when it shows up at the door and I don't have to pay $500 in VAT. Oh, man. Rabid, they just want to use Retro's brain. Maybe. Could be. Not even a CPU. Gigahash at most? Well, I think a CPU's in the kilohash, aren't they? I can't remember. It's been a long time since I tried mining Bitcoin on my CPUs. I did do that about 4 years ago. I didn't mine it like ongoing. I just fired them up to see how much hash rate they get. But I did mine Bitcoin on a CPU there a couple of years ago just to check it out. Price are going to be way more though. Alrighty. Nerd Miner is a CPU miner. 72 kilohash. There you go. Nerd Miner is 72 kilohash. Not too shabby. Anyway, guys, so I think we are going to wrap this one up, though. It is afternoon, so we've been a little over an hour. Tomorrow we'll be back with our AMA. We'll continue it off, and hopefully I can make my stream a little bit more smoother. We'll see what happens, though. No promises. I'll see you on the next one.